Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Alex, and I will be presenting this webinar today. This webinar is primarily aimed at subject leaders and subject teachers. The objective is to demonstrate how you can swiftly analyze your data to inform strategies and interventions. Okay, there are about 30 tools in 4Matrix to cover all user roles from SLT to admin staff. 10 of these tools are subject specific and are aimed at meeting the needs of all our subject leaders and teachers. However, most subject leaders will only use a small selection of these tools depending on their own priorities, strategies, and preferences. I'm going to demonstrate 6 of these tools today. I have a short amount of time, so I'm going to go quickly, but I will share my notes with you at the end of the webinar later on today as a reference for you, so you don't need to take any notes yourself. I'm going to imagine a scenario where, following an SLT review of the school's IDSR, the subject leads have been asked to look into the relatively poor performance of pupil premium or PP pupils. As a subject lead of geography, I want to see if this pattern is applicable in this subject as well. In addition, I've received an email from the parents of a geography student called Jade Priaba, who are extremely worried about their daughter's progress in this subject. So I'm also going to be seeing what the data in 4Matrix reveals about this pupil. So let's get going. Let's get 4Matrix going. Okay, when you open 4Matrix, the very first thing you want to do is to ensure that you're looking at the series of data that you want to analyze. For example, your most recent set of mock exam results for your current year 11s. So I'm going to check that the data set is what I want. 2021-22 academic year, year 11, and it's the second set of mock results that I want to look at. So I'm switching the data to that. Okay. The subject overview tool up here is a good place to start and can signpost you onto areas which require more in-depth analysis. So I'm going to switch to that tool. I'm going to select geography. So this tool shows the performance of pupil groups and classes in each subject under the headings of entries, progress 8, attainment 8, and 2 4Matrix specific measures, residual and SVA, or subject value added, that I will explain in more detail in this webinar. The subject overview tool is designed to investigate the whole cohort's headline measures, which we can see in this top row here, and in a subject, and examine the extent of gaps between key groups and their inverse. For example, we can look at the performance of the boys, the males, and the girls, and the gap between that group. This tool can also be used with a target series. If your data manager hasn't set this up already, you will see none in this top box, in this top left box. But you can select the target series from within this tool. So I'm going to look at the year 11 targets. When a target series is present, target columns are added, and they show the whole cohort and key groups' performances in terms of students that are above, on, or below their target grade. For example, we can see here that 25%, or let me just switch back to geography, sorry. We can see here that 25% of the whole geography cohort have targets set at 5+. However, when we look at the entries in the mock 2s, we can see that only 20% have achieved the target. The rows panel in the bottom left-hand corner allows us to select the key groups which we would like to display. 4Matrix admin users can create custom research groups and comparison rows for use in this tool. For example, members of an intervention group and their inverse for comparison. For example, we have created a research group for the pupils in the National Tutoring Programme. It has 10 pupils in it who are studying geography. The data shows that 30% of this group are above target for geography, 40% are on target for geography, and 30% are below their target grade in geography. And we can expand this data to see the individual grades and targets for these pupils. Users can create their own research groups, but we suggest you speak to your data manager to help you to do this. So overall, in geography, the results are encouraging. We can see that 65% of pupils in the whole subject are working above target, and only 17% of pupils are below target. But if we scroll down and focus on the pupil premium group, we can see a very different picture. Now, no pupils are above target, and 90% of pupils are below target. If we dig into this data a bit more, we can see that the key stage 2 APS of the pupil premium pupils is 4.46, which is actually higher than it is for the non-pupil premium pupils. But in geography, the subject APS for pupil premium pupils is exactly 2. This means that pupil premium pupils are, on average, only getting a grade 2 in this series in geography, which is almost 2.5 grades lower than it is for the non-pupil premium pupils studying geography, who have a subject APS of 4.47. Let's have a look now at what the residual data shows. It shows how well the pupil is performing in this subject compared to their performance in all the other subjects in the school. The positive residual of 0.75 for the whole cohort shows that on average, pupils have achieved a higher grade in geography than they have in the average of all their other subjects by a massive 3/4 of a grade. However, if we look again at the pupil premium pupils residual, we can see that it is minus 1.13, i.e. this indicates that these pupils are, on average, getting more than a whole grade less in geography than the same pupils are getting in other subjects in the school. Let's look now at subject value added. And again, if we look at all students, we can see we have a subject value added score of 1.01. So this measure is an extremely useful performance measure. It shows student performance against the national average outcome per subject by Key Stage 2 prior attainment based on the 2019 National Transition Matrices, i.e. it shows how well pupils are doing in a subject in your school compared to how well pupils with the same ability have done in the past in this subject on average at all schools in the country. Again, a positive SVA score of 1.01 indicates that on average, pupils in geography are getting a whole grade more at this school when compared to other schools in the country. However, when we look at the pupil premium pupils, we can see that they have a negative subject value added score of minus 1.53. This is further evidence that this group may need more attention, as on average, they are achieving 1.5 grades lower than they would at an average school nationwide. Having identified an area for concern in the SVA column in this tool, we can explore this further at a pupil level by using the separate subject value added tool. Click on that now. Again, we have the subjects listed down the left here. I'm going to select geography, and I'm going to apply a filter so that I'm only showing the pupil premium pupils in this tool at the moment. So I'm going to choose pupil premium is true. Okay, and I'm going to use this tool here to show the names of the 10 pupil premium pupils that are in geography. So this chart plots pupils in accordance with their key stage 2 APS baseline on the x-axis and their key stage 4 grade in the active series on the y-axis. The blue line plots the estimated points or national average for all pupils based on their key stage 2 starting point. Pupils are plotted as red dots around the blue lines, and the names of the pupils can be toggled on and off as I've shown you. Where pupils appear above the blue line, it signifies that these pupils have performed above the estimated scores and have got positive value added. Conversely, the pupils below the blue line have performed below their estimated scores, which is leading to a negative value added. The subject stats box in the bottom left of the display includes some of the key figures for the selected subject and the filtered group, including the number of entries, the subject APS, and again, we can see here pupil premium have a subject APS of 2, and the value added score. And again, those value added scores that we saw in the previous tool. So this tool can give a clear, immediate visual showing which students are performing above, on, or below the national standard for students with the same Key Stage 2 prior attainment as them. This data is also available in a table view. Our pupil of interest, I'm just going to sort this data here. Our pupil of interest, Jade Priaba, has a Key Stage 2 APS of 27 points. In 2019 nationally, pupils with this Key Stage 2 APS in geography achieved on average a grade 3.32. As Jade has got a grade 4 in the current series, she has a positive value added score, despite the overall pupil premium group average being negative. I'm just going to turn off the pupil premium filter now so you can see that we can see this data for all pupils in the geography cohort. More columns can be added to this table. For example, we can bring in pupil premium indicator. We can bring in the attendance data if that's been brought in. And filters can be applied. So for example, we might want to just focus on the girls in the cohort. And data can then be exported for sharing or for further analysis. Okay, I'll close that down now. When looking at the subject overview tool earlier, we looked at the residual figures for a subject, its groups and its classes. And we can explore those residual figures again at student level, this time in the subject profile tool. Okay, again, we have the list of subjects down the side. I'm going to choose geography. Let's get rid of this windows from the previous one. The green line is made up of the average grade for all the students in the cohort, arranged from the highest attaining pupil on the left, which is Mary Gromit, who has got an average grade of 6.2 in all her subjects, to the lowest attaining pupil in the cohort at the bottom right, and that is this pupil, Christina Bulbasa, who has an average grade of 0.3 for all her subjects. So this green line effectively draws a line representing the average attainment right through the ability range for this cohort in geography. It forms a reference point from which students' progress across their subjects can be compared. The actual dots are the grades obtained by the students in geography. The distribution of these dots about their average allows us to compare differences in performances across subjects. So I'm going to focus on our group pupil premium. Again, I'm going to filter the data using the filter in the top right. And when I add the filter, you can see that the students who no longer meet the filter criteria, i.e. in this case, the non-pupil premium pupils, appear in a paler color. And we can choose not to display these pupils, simplify our view by this slider bar here, hide pupils not in group. So we can now see the 10 pupil premium pupils in isolation. And we can see that all of these pupils are either on or below the green line. What this means is that all of these pupils are not doing as well in geography as they are in other subjects. For example, if we look at our focus pupil, Jade Priaba, she has got a grade 4 in geography, as indicated by her point being on the grade 4 line. However, reading up from her data, we can see that her average grade in all other subjects is 5.42. Again, this data can be exported and shared with subject class teachers. Click subject report, that's the one I want to look at. Okay, and this can be shared with members of your department. We saw earlier on subject overview that in geography, 17% of students were working below target. Now, information like this might signpost us to the series comparison tool, where we can explore more thoroughly which students are below target and by how much. So the series comparison tool is found under the series group of tools on the right-hand side of the ribbon. So click that one now. And I'm going to remove our pupil premium filter again so we can see the data for all pupils. Okay, there are 4 different views of data in this tool, which are designed to help you to visualize and understand the 2 data series being compared in different ways. So first of all, let's look at the table view. The table view has a difference column, which displays the difference in points between the data in the 2 series. It is possible to order these just by clicking on them by those who have achieved a positive to negative difference from top to bottom. Colors again are used to show positive, no change, and negative differences. By selecting more columns, we can also bring in more information about the group being looked at. Again, we can bring in pupil premium or attendance data, any data that you like. Again, we can see that pupil premium pupils are not hitting their targets. And again, our focus student, Jade Priaba, is currently working at a grade 4. However, she has a target of a grade 8, which means the difference is -4. She is currently working 4 grades lower than her target and is appearing at the bottom of this table. Okay, let's have a look at the matrices view. I'm going to remove that out of the way there. Okay, the matrices view is a relatively new user-friendly graphical view. We can use it to visualize results against targets in a different way to try and spot useful patterns to inform teaching and target setting. So here, for example, we can see that 62 of the target grades in geography are grade 3, because the comparison grade is the target grade series, grade 3, 62 pupils. But reading across, we can see 49 pupils who have achieved grades higher than that already. And there are 2 pupils here targeted with a grade 3 who are actually achieving a grade 7. Okay, let's have a look at the grades tool. The grades view displays a bar chart that compares the distribution of grades obtained in the current and comparative series. Now, this time I'm going to use this tool to compare the current mock 2 results, which we've been looking at, not against the targets, but against the earlier mock results to see how the grade distribution changes. And again, we can see that in this second set of mocks, which is the current series, the actual series, which is shown in purple, there were slightly fewer grades at grade 4, 7, and 9 compared to the first set of mocks. The final view I want to show you is the chart view. The chart view is a visual representation of how students' results compare between 2 series and how big any positive or negative differences are. Yellow dots represent the grades for the selected series, which again is mock 2 results, whereas the blue dots represent the grades in the comparative series, which for us is the mock 1 results. Again, we can use the filter to filter by any group or by class. For example, I want to look at the results of all the pupils in the geography class 11GE04, which I know is the class that Jade Priaba is in. I click on the class filter this time, and I can see all the results. And if I, again, hide the pupils not in the group, okay, I get a much clearer picture. We can see that there are 3 pupils in this class who have dropped grades in mocks 2 compared to mocks 1. And that for one of these pupils, the drop is huge from grade 9 up here to grade 4 in the current series. Hovering over the dot gives us the pupil's name, or if I press the Show Names button, I can see that this pupil is Jade Priaba. So this pupil has dropped a huge amount of grades from Mock 1 to Mock 2. By the File menu, we can export a variety of different reports into Excel or some printed reports, and a particularly useful one is a printed photo report, which will group pupils according to whether their grades are the same in 2 comparison series, or whether they are higher or whether they are lower. And here, because we have the filter for the class, this would be a report just for that class 11G GE04. Okay, moving on to the subject tracking tool. If we want to compare more than 2 data collections for the same cohort to see if a student's grades are moving in the right direction, the subject tracking tool is the tool for this. So that's going back here to the subject tools. Subject tracking is the one we're going to look at. And again, I'm change to geography. The subject tracking tool shows changes between each series of data collected to see if a student's grades are moving in the right direction. Grades are compared directly with the column to the left, to the data in the series in the column to the left. Again, colors are used to indicate change. So in geography, we can see for this pupil in the first set of mocks, they got a grade 4, and then in the spring, it went to down to a grade 1, so the data is shown in red there. I'm going to go to the display options, and I'm just going to simplify this display, taking out some of these series I don't really want to look at, just to focus on the 2 mocks and the main data collection points in the autumn and the spring. Again, I need to switch back to geography. And I can see that because my filter is still on from 11GE04, I'm just seeing the pupils from that class. And again, my focus pupil, Jade Priaba, I can see in the autumn term got a grade 3 in geography, a grade 9 in her first set of mocks, then a grade 3, then a grade 4 in the most recent set of mocks, and her target grade is an 8. So we can really see now why the parents are concerned, but we can also see that that first mock result was extremely out of character, shall we say. So it gives us a bit more information to sort of dig in deeper to find out what's going on with this particular pupil. Okay, again, a report for this selected data can be printed off and can be shared with your colleagues. Okay, finally, I want to look at the 4Matrix subject analysis tool, because this allows us to compare grade distributions for a subject between different cohorts to see, for example, how the set of mock results this year compares with their performance in previous years. So again, I'm going to come and select geography. And what's being shown at the moment is the grade distribution for the current series, which is this year's mocks, second set of mocks for this year's year 11s. If I go back to the previous academic year, I can also bring in the same set of mocks that were done last year and go back 2 years and bring in the same set of mocks data for the year 11 from the year before. And finally, from 2018, 2019, the last time that they did exams. And if I press apply. Okay, so just very, very briefly here, we can see that in the current year 11 mocks, the average grade that the pupils are getting is 4.22, which is higher than it has been for the same set of mocks in the previous 3 years. And that's despite the fact that this cohort's Key Stage 2 APS is in fact lower than it has been for previous years. So overall, as a subject lead, I'd be pleased with that picture. But from all the analysis that I've done today, I can definitely see that there were issues with the pupil premium pupils and the ways that they've been taught. And at an individual level, I can see that Jade Priaba is certainly a pupil who's got some concerning results. I'm going to stop there. That, as I said, is very much a whistle-stop tour of 6 of the tools that are in 4Matrix.
Thank you, Alex.
Let's recap on our findings. What have we learned? We were required to investigate the poor performance of pupil premium students and whether this affects geography. Our findings confirm that yes, PP students in geography are not performing as well as their peers. Other points of note are PP students have a higher Key Stage 2 ability than the cohort average. 90% of PP students studying geography are below target, compared with 17% for the subject as a whole. PP students in geography are performing well below the national average outcomes from 2019. The overall performance of geography has steadily increased over the last 4 years. Further research could be undertaken in the subjects summary tool. This would allow us to measure the impact of pupil premium students in terms of attainment, residuals, and SVA across all subjects, and pinpoint the subjects that are most and least affected. Our second task was to note the performance of Jade, whose parents are worried about their daughter's progress in geography. Our key findings include Jade's first mock result was a grade 9, and her second mock result was a grade 4. Jade has been graded 5, 3, and 3 in the main assessment points in Year 11. Jade's first mock result of a grade 9 seems to be an exception to her average performance in the subject in Year 11, and it is likely that her target of a grade 8 is too high. Jade is performing slightly above the national average in geography based on data from 2019, compared with students with a similar prior attainment ability. Jade's performance in geography is approximately 1.5 grades below her average from all subjects that she studies. Further research could be undertaken in the pupil display tool. This would show Jade's performance in geography over multiple years, and we may be able to deduce whether her first mock result really was an exception, or whether her Year 11 performance has steadily decreased over time. If it's the latter, we will need to consider why this is. Perhaps she has a new teacher for Year 11. Maybe her attendance has dropped. Maybe the lesson now takes place after lunch on a Friday and engagement is low. There are many factors to consider. Although Jade is working above national expectations, we do need to determine whether her target grade is too high based on all factors mentioned above and in discussion with her teacher.
Let me just remind you that if you do have any questions at all, you can contact us at 4Matrix at any time. If you go to the Help tab within 4Matrix, you can click on Support Website. That will take you to the ticketing system, and you can also download any guides that you may wish to look at there. Thank you once again for your time. I hope you found the webinar useful. Enjoy the rest of your day, and goodbye.